What if a simple act of generosity became the key to unraveling your life's biggest mystery? In a small-town diner, waitress Anna stumbles upon a $10,000 tip with an enigmatic note. This is not just a tip. It's the beginning of a journey. Follow the clues. As Anna dives into a quest filled with hidden messages and forgotten places, she uncovers the incredible legacy of her mother, a secret network dedicated to helping those in need. From dusty libraries to abandoned airfields, and even a hidden cabin in the woods, Anna's path is filled with unexpected twists and heartwarming revelations. As the evening sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm, amber glow over the small-town diner, Anna wiped her hands on her apron and moved to clear table 4. The usual hum of conversations and clinking cutlery surrounded her, a comforting backdrop of familiarity. She picked up the empty plates and glasses, her mind drifting to the plans she had for the weekend, a rare day off to spend with her friends at the lake. As she reached for the last glass, her eyes caught sight of something unusual, a crisp, neatly folded envelope tucked under the salt shaker. With a furrowed brow, she set the glass down and picked up the envelope, turning it over in her hands. Her name was written on the front in elegant, looping script. Curious, she opened it and found a single sheet of paper and a stack of bills. Anna's heart raced as she counted the money. $10,000. Her breath hitched. This had to be a mistake. She unfolded the note, her hands trembling slightly. The handwritten message read, "This is not just a tip. It's the beginning of a journey. Follow the clues." Anna read the note again, disbelief washing over her. A journey? Clues? What was this supposed to mean? "Hey, Anna, you okay?" asked Megan, her coworker and closest friend at the diner. Megan's voice pulled Anna back to the present, her face a mask of concern. Anna held up the envelope. "Look at this. Someone left me $10,000. And this note." She handed the note to Megan, who read it quickly. "Wow, that's insane. Are you sure it's real?" Megan asked, her eyes wide with astonishment. Anna nodded. "It looks real enough. But why would anyone leave this for me?" "Maybe it's a mistake," Megan suggested, though she didn't sound convinced. "Or maybe someone really wants to send you on this journey." Anna bit her lip, contemplating. "I don't know. It feels surreal. What kind of journey could this be?" "There's only one way to find out," Megan said with a grin. "Follow the clues." Anna laughed, though the sound was tinged with uncertainty. "You make it sound so simple." "Well, you never know. It could be exciting. Or it could be a prank. But you won't know until you try," Megan pointed out, handing the note back to Anna. As the night wore on, Anna couldn't shake the feeling of curiosity mingled with apprehension. She finished her shift, the envelope burning a metaphorical hole in her pocket. When she finally clocked out, she decided to talk to her manager, Tom, before leaving. Tom was an older man with a gruff exterior but a heart of gold. He looked up from his paperwork as Anna approached. "Hey, Anna. Something on your mind?" Anna took a deep breath and explained the situation, showing him the envelope and the note. Tom examined the money and the note carefully before leaning back in his chair. "Well, I'll be damned," he muttered. "In all my years running this place, I've never seen anything like this. You sure you don't recognize the handwriting or have any idea who might have left it?" Anna shook her head. "No clue at all. It's just so strange." Tom nodded thoughtfully. "Strange, indeed. But if it were me, I'd be curious enough to see where this leads. Just be careful, all right? You never know what you're getting into." "Thanks, Tom. I'll be careful," Anna promised, feeling a bit reassured by his words. Leaving the diner, the cool night air did little to calm the storm of thoughts in Anna's mind. She drove home, the quiet hum of the car engine a backdrop to her musings. What if this really was the start of something new, something exciting? Or what if it was just a wild goose chase? When she got home, she placed the envelope on her kitchen table and sat down, staring at it as if it held all the answers to her questions. She picked up the note again, reading the words over and over. Follow the clues. But where was the first clue? She scanned the note for any hidden messages, any indication of where to begin, but there was nothing obvious. The next morning, Anna woke up with a sense of determination. She decided to start at the diner, retracing her steps from the night before. Maybe she had missed something. She arrived at the diner before her shift, the early morning sun casting long shadows on the empty parking lot. Inside, the familiar sense of coffee and fresh-baked muffins greeted her. She nodded to her coworkers as she made her way to table 4. There was nothing out of the ordinary, just the usual remnants of breakfast. She felt a bit foolish, but then something caught her eye. On the edge of the table, etched into the wood, were faint initials, A.H. Anna's heart skipped a beat. Those were her initials. She ran her fingers over the etching, wondering how long it had been there. Was this the first clue? But what did it mean? She decided to take a break and grabbed a cup of coffee, sitting down in a quiet corner to think. Megan joined her a few minutes later, her own cup of coffee in hand. Any luck? Megan asked, sipping her drink. Anna showed her the initials. I found these, but I have no idea what they mean. Megan frowned, leaning closer to examine the table. AH could be anything. Maybe it's a sign that the clue is somewhere close by. Maybe, Anna said thoughtfully. But where? They sat in silence for a moment, both lost in thought. Then Megan snapped her fingers. The library. Remember how you used to go there all the time with your mom? Maybe there's something there. Anna's eyes lit up. That's a great idea. It's worth a shot. After her shift, Anna headed to the local library, a place filled with fond memories of her mother. As she walked through the familiar aisles, she felt a pang of nostalgia. Her mother had loved puzzles and riddles, often taking Anna on little treasure hunts around the town. She approached the librarian, Mrs. Wilson, an elderly woman with a warm smile. Hello, Mrs. Wilson. I was wondering if you could help me with something a bit unusual. Of course, dear. What do you need? Mrs. Wilson asked kindly. Anna explained the situation, showing her the note and mentioning the initials. Mrs. Wilson's eyes twinkled with interest. That does sound intriguing. Let's take a look around and see if we can find anything, she said, leading Anna to the section of the library dedicated to local history. They spent the next hour searching through books and old documents, but nothing seemed to stand out. Just as Anna was starting to feel discouraged, Mrs. Wilson handed her a dusty old book titled Hidden Treasures of Our Town. Why don't you take this home and see if anything in it rings a bell, she suggested. Anna thanked her and left the library, the book tucked under her arm. At home, she settled into a comfortable chair and started flipping through the pages. Her eyes scanned the stories and maps until she found a passage about an old, forgotten park in the town. Where dreams take flight, she whispered to herself, recalling the phrase from the note. Excitement bubbled within her. This had to be it. Tomorrow, she would visit the park and see where this journey would lead. As Anna closed the book and prepared for bed, she felt a sense of anticipation she hadn't felt in years. Whatever this journey was, it was already opening doors to the past and unveiling mysteries she never knew existed. Little did she know, this was just the beginning of an adventure that would change her life forever. The next morning, Anna woke with a sense of purpose she hadn't felt in a long time. The mysterious note and the money had ignited a spark of curiosity that was impossible to ignore. After a quick breakfast, she grabbed the old book from the library and headed out, her destination clear in her mind, the old park mentioned in Hidden Treasures of Our Town. As she drove through the quiet streets, the town waking up around her, Anna felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. What would she find at the park? Would it hold answers, or would it lead to more questions? She pushed these thoughts aside, focusing on the road ahead. The park was located on the outskirts of town, a place she hadn't visited in years. As she pulled into the empty parking lot, she took a moment to take in her surroundings. The park was overgrown and neglected, nature slowly reclaiming it. Tall trees shaded the area, their leaves rustling softly in the breeze. Anna got out of her car and made her way down a worn path, the book clutched in her hands. She followed the directions she had memorized from the book, her steps guided by a mixture of instinct and hope. The path led her to an old playground, its once vibrant equipment now rusted and covered in ivy. She walked around, searching for anything that might be a clue. Her eyes fell on an old bench with carvings etched into the wood. Kneeling down, she brushed away the leaves and dirt, revealing more initials and a date, AH 2005. Her heart skipped a beat. These were her initials again, and the date was around the time she and her mother used to come to the park. Her fingers traced the carvings, memories flooding back. She remembered how her mother used to bring her here, sharing stories and riddles, making every visit an adventure. Anna smiled at the thought, feeling a pang of longing for those simpler times. She nodded to her co-workers as she made her way to table 4. There was nothing out of the ordinary, just the usual remnants of breakfast. She felt a bit foolish, but then something caught her eye. On the edge of the table, etched into the wood, were faint initials, AH. Anna's heart skipped a beat. Those were her initials. She ran her fingers over the etching, wondering how long it had been there. Was this the first clue? But what did it mean? She decided to take a break and grabbed a cup of coffee, sitting down in a quiet corner to think. Megan joined her a few minutes later, her own cup of coffee in hand. Any luck? Megan asked, sipping her drink. Anna showed her the initials. I found these, but I have no idea what they mean. Megan frowned, leaning closer to examine the table. AH could be anything. Maybe it's a sign that the clue is somewhere close by. Maybe, Anna said thoughtfully. But where? They sat in silence for a moment, both lost in thought. Then Megan snapped her fingers. The library. Remember how you used to go there all the time with your mom? Maybe there's something there. Anna's eyes lit up. That's a great idea. It's worth a shot. After her shift, Anna headed to the local library, a place filled with fond memories of her mother. As she walked through the familiar aisles, she felt a pang of nostalgia. Her mother had loved puzzles and riddles, often taking Anna on little treasure hunts around the town. She approached the librarian, Mrs. Wilson, an elderly woman with a warm smile. Hello, Mrs. Wilson. I was wondering if you could help me with something a bit unusual. Of course, dear. What do you need? Mrs. Wilson asked kindly. Anna explained the situation, showing her the note and mentioning the initials. Mrs. Wilson's eyes twinkled with interest. That does sound intriguing. Let's take a look around and see if we can find anything, she said, leading Anna to the section of the library dedicated to local history. They spent the next hour searching through books and old documents, but nothing seemed to stand out. Just as Anna was starting to feel discouraged, Mrs. Wilson handed her a dusty old book titled Hidden Treasures of Our Town. Why don't you take this home and see if anything in it rings a bell, she suggested. Anna thanked her and left the library, the book tucked under her arm. At home, she settled into a comfortable chair and started flipping through the pages. Her eyes scanned the stories and maps until she found a passage about an old, forgotten park in the town. Where dreams take flight, she whispered to herself, recalling the phrase from the note. Excitement bubbled within her. This had to be it. Tomorrow, she would visit the park and see where this journey would lead. As Anna closed the book and prepared for bed, she felt a sense of anticipation she hadn't felt in years. Whatever this journey was, it was already opening doors to the past and unveiling mysteries she never knew existed. Little did she know, this was just the beginning of an adventure that would change her life forever. The next morning, Anna woke with a sense of purpose she hadn't felt in a long time. The mysterious note and the money had ignited a spark of curiosity that was impossible to ignore. After a quick breakfast, she grabbed the old book from the library and headed out, her destination clear in her mind, the old park mentioned in Hidden Treasures of Our Town. As she drove through the quiet streets, the town waking up around her, Anna felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. What would she find at the park? Would it hold answers, or would it lead to more questions? She pushed these thoughts aside, focusing on the road ahead. The park was located on the outskirts of town, a place she hadn't visited in years. As she pulled into the empty parking lot, she took a moment to take in her surroundings. The park was overgrown and neglected, nature slowly reclaiming it. Tall trees shaded the area, their leaves rustling softly in the breeze. Anna got out of her car and made her way down a worn path, the book clutched in her hands. She followed the directions she had memorized from the book, her steps guided by a mixture of instinct and hope. The path led her to an old playground, its once vibrant equipment now rusted and covered in ivy. She walked around, searching for anything that might be a clue. Her eyes fell on an old bench with carvings etched into the wood. Kneeling down, she brushed away the leaves and dirt, revealing more initials and a date, AH 2005. Her heart skipped a beat. These were her initials again, and the date was around the time she and her mother used to come to the park. Her fingers traced the carvings, memories flooding back. She remembered how her mother used to bring her here, sharing stories and riddles, making every visit an adventure. Anna smiled at the thought, feeling a pang of longing for those simpler times. As she sat on the bench, lost in thought, she heard a rustling sound behind her. Turning around, she saw an old man approaching, his gait slow but steady. He wore a worn coat and a cap, his face lined with age but his eyes sharp and clear. "Good morning," he greeted, tipping his cap. "Good morning," Anna replied, her curiosity piqued. "Do you come here often?" The man chuckled. "Not as often as I used to, but I like to take a walk now and then. This place holds a lot of memories." Anna nodded, feeling an unexpected connection to the stranger. "I'm Anna, by the way." "Ben," he introduced himself with a nod. "Nice to meet you, Anna." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment before Ben spoke again. "What brings you to this old park?" Anna hesitated, then decided to share her story. She told Ben about the mysterious note, the money, and the clues she had been following. Ben listened attentively, his expression growing serious. When she finished, he nodded slowly. "Sounds like quite an adventure you're on. If you're looking for clues, I might have something for you." Anna's eyes widened. "Really? What is it?" Ben reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small wooden box. He handed it to Anna, who opened it carefully. Inside was a key and another note. The note read, "To unlock the past, find where dreams took flight." Anna looked at Ben, her mind racing. "Do you know what this means?" Ben smiled gently. "I believe it's referring to the old airfield just outside of town. It used to be a place where people came to fly their small planes, a place of freedom and adventure. It's been abandoned for years, but perhaps it holds the next clue you're looking for." Anna felt a surge of excitement. "Thank you, Ben. I think this is exactly what I needed." Ben nodded, his eyes twinkling with a mixture of wisdom and nostalgia. "Be careful, Anna. The past can be a tricky thing to uncover, but it can also lead to the most wonderful discoveries." Anna thanked him again and made her way back to her car, the key and note safely tucked in her pocket. As she drove towards the old airfield, her mind buzzed with anticipation. The clues were leading her deeper into a mystery that seemed to be intertwined with her own history. The drive to the airfield took her through winding country roads, the scenery changing from small-town streets to open fields and forests. She followed the directions from Ben, feeling a sense of determination growing stronger with each mile. When she finally arrived at the airfield, it was exactly as Ben had described, abandoned and overgrown, the remnants of its past still visible through the decay. She parked her car and walked towards the old hangars, the key clutched in her hand. The hangar doors were heavy and rusted, but Anna managed to push one open, revealing a dusty, dimly lit interior. She stepped inside, her footsteps echoing in the cavernous space. Old airplanes, tools, and equipment lay scattered around, relics of a bygone era. Anna walked slowly, her eyes scanning the surroundings for anything that might stand out. She reached an office in the back of the hangar and tried the key in the lock. To her relief, it turned smoothly, and the door creaked open. Inside, the office was cluttered with papers, maps, and photographs. She began to sort through them, her heart pounding with anticipation. Among the documents, she found old photos of her mother, smiling and carefree, standing next to a small plane. There were journals, filled with notes and sketches, and a map marked with various locations. As she flipped through the journals, Anna began to piece together a story. Her mother had been involved in a secret organization dedicated to helping those in need, using the airfield as a base of operations. The map indicated a hidden cabin in the woods, a place that seemed to hold the next part of the mystery. Anna's mind whirled with questions. Why had her mother kept this a secret? What had driven her to be part of such an organization? The answers seemed just out of reach, waiting to be discovered. She gathered the journals, map, and photographs, determined to follow the trail her mother had left behind. As she left the hangar, the sun was setting, casting a golden glow over the airfield. Anna felt a renewed sense of purpose and connection to her mother's past, ready to uncover the truth behind the clues. With the map as her guide, she headed back to her car, her next destination clear, the hidden cabin in the woods. The journey was far from over, but Anna was more determined than ever to see it through. The clues were leading her not just to answers, but to a deeper understanding of her mother's life and legacy. The drive to the cabin felt like stepping back in time. The further Anna drove into the woods, the more the modern world faded away. Tall trees lined the winding road, their branches forming a canopy overhead that dappled the ground with patches of sunlight. Anna followed the map carefully, her fingers tracing the faded lines and handwritten notes left by her mother. Each turn, each landmark seemed to bring her closer to the answers she sought. She arrived at a small clearing where an old, weather-beaten cabin stood. It was quaint and secluded, surrounded by dense forest. Anna parked her car and took a deep breath, feeling a mix of anticipation and trepidation. This was it. This was where her mother's secrets lay hidden. The cabin door creaked as she pushed it open, the hinges protesting after years of disuse. Inside, dust motes floated in the shafts of light that filtered through the grimy windows. The air was thick with the smell of aged wood and neglect. Anna stepped inside, her footsteps echoing softly. The cabin was sparsely furnished, but it felt like stepping into a snapshot of the past. Old furniture, a few personal items, and a well-worn rug gave it a homely feel. On the wall, she noticed a series of photographs, yellowed with age. She walked over to them, her heart pounding. They were pictures of her mother, some alone, some with other people, smiling, laughing, working. It was a side of her mother she had never seen, one filled with purpose and camaraderie. On a small wooden table, she found a leather-bound journal with her mother's name embossed on the cover. Anna sat down and opened it, the pages crackling softly. The journal was filled with her mother's handwriting, detailing her involvement in a secret organization that aimed to help those in need. There were stories of covert operations, aiding families in distress, and providing resources to communities in crisis. As she read, Anna felt a deep connection to her mother, a sense of pride mingled with sorrow. Her mother had lived a double life, one that was driven by a desire to make the world a better place, even at great personal risk. The journal painted a picture of a woman who was brave, compassionate, and resourceful. One entry caught Anna's eye. It detailed a mission that had gone wrong, forcing her mother to go into hiding to protect her family. The writing was urgent, filled with concern for Anna and her father. Her mother had left behind everything to ensure their safety, knowing it meant severing ties with the people she had come to call friends and comrades. Anna closed the journal, her mind reeling with the weight of what she had learned. She now understood the lengths her mother had gone to protect her, but it also raised more questions. What had happened to the organization? And why had her mother chosen now, years later, to lead Anna to this discovery? As she pondered these questions, Anna heard a soft knock at the cabin door. Startled, she quickly hid the journal under a cushion and went to see who it was. Standing on the porch was a woman in her late 50s, with kind eyes and a warm smile. "Hello," the woman said, her voice gentle. "I'm Susan. I was a friend of your mother's." Anna felt a rush of emotion. "How did you find me?" Susan smiled knowingly. "Your mother left instructions in case you ever found this place. She always hoped you would, one day." Inviting Susan inside, Anna felt a mix of curiosity and apprehension. They sat down at the table, the journal still hidden away, and Anna poured them both a cup of tea from a dusty kettle she found on the stove. "Your mother was an incredible woman," Susan began, her eyes misting over with memories. "She was dedicated to our cause, always willing to go above and beyond to help those in need. When things went wrong, she had to disappear to keep you and your father safe." Anna nodded, feeling a lump form in her throat. "I had no idea she was involved in something like this. Why did she never tell me?" Susan sighed. "She wanted to protect you. The less you knew, the safer you were. But she also believed that one day, you would be ready to understand and maybe even continue her work." Anna thought about the $10,000 and the note that had started this journey. "Do you know who left the money in the note for me?" Susan smiled. "That was your mother's doing. She set up a trust fund with the organization to be released to you when the time was right. The note was her way of guiding you, even after she was gone." Anna felt a surge of emotion, tears welling in her eyes. "She wanted me to follow in her footsteps." Susan reached across the table, taking Anna's hand in hers. "Only if you want to. There's no pressure. But if you do choose to, there's still a lot of good that can be done. Your mother believed in you, Anna. She saw the same strength and compassion in you that drove her." They spent the next few hours talking, Susan sharing stories of missions they had undertaken together, the lives they had changed, and the challenges they had faced. Anna listened, absorbing every detail, feeling her mother's presence in every word. As the sun set, casting long shadows across the cabin floor, Anna felt a sense of clarity. She had started this journey with nothing but questions and uncertainty, but now she had found a sense of purpose. Her mother's legacy was not a burden but a gift, an opportunity to make a difference. Susan stood to leave, but before she did, she handed Anna an old, weathered map. "This is where you'll find the others who were part of the organization. They've scattered over the years, but they're still out there, still helping. If you decide to continue your mother's work, this map will guide you." Anna took the map, feeling the weight of the responsibility it represented. "Thank you, Susan. For everything." Susan smiled, a look of pride in her eyes. "Your mother would be so proud of you, Anna. Whatever you choose, know that you are making a difference, just by being who you are." As Susan left, Anna stood on the porch, the map and the journal in her hands. The night was quiet, the stars beginning to twinkle in the sky. She felt a deep connection to her mother, to the past, and to the future that lay ahead. The journey was far from over, but Anna was ready to embrace it, one step at a time. Anna stood on the porch of the cabin, clutching the old, weathered map Susan had given her. The night air was cool, and the sounds of the forest surrounded her, creating a serene yet poignant backdrop. She traced the lines on the map, noting the various locations marked with small, handwritten notes. Each mark represented a person, a place, a piece of the puzzle her mother had left behind. The next morning, Anna packed a small bag with essentials, including her mother's journal and the map. She locked the cabin door behind her and set off, her heart filled with determination. The first location on the map was a small town about an hour's drive away. It was marked with the name John and a note that simply read, "He knows." As Anna drove through the winding roads, she couldn't help but feel a mixture of excitement and anxiety. The landscape blurred past her, a blend of greens and browns, with the occasional flash of color from wildflowers. She wondered what she would find, who she would meet, and how it would all connect to her mother's secret life. She arrived in the town just before noon. It was quaint, with a main street lined with small shops and cafes. Anna parked her car and looked around, trying to decide where to start. She noticed a small bookstore at the corner of the street, its window display filled with old, leather-bound books. It seemed like a good place to begin. The bell above the door chimed softly as she entered, and the scent of aged paper and ink greeted her. An elderly man stood behind the counter, his glasses perched on the end of his nose as he flipped through a thick volume. He looked up and smiled warmly at Anna. "Good afternoon. How can I help you today?" he asked. Anna approached the counter, feeling a bit nervous. "Hi, I'm looking for someone named John. I was told he might be able to help me with some questions I have." The man's eyes twinkled with curiosity. "You found him?" "I'm John. What kind of questions do you have?" Anna hesitated, then decided to be straightforward. She explained about her mother, the note, and the journey she was on. John listened intently, his expression growing serious as she spoke. When she finished, he nodded thoughtfully. "Your mother was a remarkable woman. We worked together on several missions. She often spoke of you, you know. Always with such pride." Anna felt a lump form in her throat. "I had no idea. I've discovered so much about her recently. I feel like I'm just starting to understand who she really was." John smiled gently. "It's a lot to take in, I'm sure. But you're doing the right thing, following her path. There are still many of us out there, keeping her legacy alive. If you're willing, I can guide you to the next step." Anna nodded, her resolve strengthening. "I'm ready." John led her to the back of the store, where a small office was filled with files and maps. He pulled out a folder labeled Project Haven and handed it to Anna. Inside were detailed plans, photographs, and lists of names and locations. "This was one of our biggest projects," John explained. "Your mother was instrumental in its success. We set up safe houses and support networks for people in need, providing them with resources and protection. The cabin you found was one of those safe houses." Anna flipped through the pages, marveling at the scope of their work. "What happened to the organization after my mother went into hiding?" John sighed. "It was a difficult time. We had to lay low, disbanding most of our operations to avoid detection. But the network still exists, in a more informal capacity. We stay in touch, help each other when we can. Your mother's disappearance hit us hard, but we've managed to keep her spirit alive." He pointed to a map on the wall, similar to the one Anna had. "These are the current locations of some of our members. They can provide you with more information and support. Each one has a piece of the puzzle you're trying to solve." Anna studied the map, feeling a sense of purpose. "Thank you, John. I'll visit them. I want to understand everything, and continue what my mother started." John placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You're doing her proud, Anna. Remember, you're not alone in this. We're all here for you." Anna spent the rest of the day with John, learning more about the organization and her mother's role in it. They shared stories, piecing together the past. As the sun began to set, Anna felt a deep sense of connection to her mother and the people who had worked alongside her. That evening, as Anna prepared to leave, John handed her a small, wrapped package. "Your mother left this with me, for you. She said you'd know when the time was right to open it." Anna took the package, feeling the weight of her mother's trust and love. "Thank you, John. For everything." With the package safely tucked away, Anna set off towards the next location on the map. Each stop brought new insights, new connections, and new friends who shared their stories of her mother's bravery and kindness. The journey was challenging, filled with moments of doubt and discovery, but Anna felt her mother's presence guiding her. She visited an old farmhouse where an elderly couple welcomed her with open arms, sharing tales of daring rescues and hidden caches of supplies. She traveled to a bustling city, meeting a young woman who had taken up the mantle of helping those in need, inspired by her mother's legacy. Each person added a new layer to the story, filling in the gaps and painting a vivid picture of the life her mother had led. One night, while resting at a small inn, Anna finally unwrapped the package John had given her. Inside was a locket, its surface engraved with intricate patterns. She opened it to find a picture of her mother holding her as a baby, a look of pure love and joy on her face. There was also a small note, written in her mother's delicate handwriting, "For my Anna, may you always find your way." Tears filled Anna's eyes as she held the locket close. Her mother's journey had become her own, a path of discovery, courage, and compassion. With each step, Anna felt closer to her mother, understanding the choices she had made and the legacy she had left behind. As she prepared for the final leg of her journey, Anna knew that whatever she found, whatever challenges lay ahead, she was ready. Her mother's strength and spirit lived on in her, guiding her towards a future filled with purpose and hope. As Anna drove towards the final destination marked on her mother's map, a mixture of anticipation and anxiety settled over her. This journey had already taken her through so many twists and turns, each revelation more profound than the last. Now, she was heading to a city a few hours away, where a charitable foundation her mother had helped establish awaited. The cityscape loomed in the distance, a stark contrast to the quiet, rural areas Anna had visited. Tall buildings glinted in the sunlight, and the streets buzzed with activity. She navigated through the traffic, her fingers tapping nervously on the steering wheel. The address led her to a modest building nestled between a community center and a small park. A sign read Hope Haven Foundation in simple, elegant lettering. Anna parked and took a deep breath before stepping out of the car. The building had a welcoming facade, with large windows and a cheerful flower bed out front. She walked up the steps and entered through the glass doors, the air inside cool and calm. A receptionist greeted her with a warm smile. "Welcome to Hope Haven Foundation. How can I help you today?" "I'm Anna," she said, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "I believe I have an appointment with the director." The receptionist nodded, checking her schedule. "Of course, Anna. Miss Claire is expecting you. Please follow me." Anna followed the receptionist down a hallway adorned with photographs and testimonials from people whose lives had been changed by the foundation. The walls seemed to radiate hope and compassion, a testament to the work being done here. The receptionist knocked gently on a door at the end of the hallway before opening it. "Miss Claire, Anna is here." A woman in her early 50s, with kind eyes and an air of quiet confidence, stood up from behind a desk. "Thank you, Rachel. Please, come in, Anna." Anna stepped into the office, feeling a mix of nerves and curiosity. Ms. Claire motioned for her to sit in a comfortable chair opposite the desk. "Thank you for coming, Anna. Your mother spoke of you often," Ms. Claire began, her voice warm and inviting. Anna felt a lump in her throat. "I've learned so much about her recently. She left me clues, leading me here. I want to understand why." Ms. Claire nodded, her expression thoughtful. "Your mother was a remarkable woman. She helped establish this foundation years ago. Her vision was to create a place where people could find hope and support in times of need." Anna listened intently as Ms. Claire continued. "When she had to go into hiding, it was a great loss for us, but her legacy lived on. She made sure that everything was in place to continue her work, and she always hoped that one day you would join us." "Join you?" Anna echoed, feeling a mix of surprise and curiosity. "Yes," Ms. Claire said with a smile. "Your mother believed that you had the same compassion and determination she had. She wanted you to be a part of this foundation, to carry on her mission of helping others." Anna felt a surge of emotion. "I've followed the clues she left, met so many people who were touched by her work. I want to continue what she started, but I'm not sure where to begin." Ms. Claire reached across the desk, taking Anna's hand in hers. "You've already begun, Anna. Just by being here, you're taking the first step. We'll guide you, support you, and together, we'll continue to make a difference." Anna spent the rest of the day touring the foundation, meeting the staff and volunteers who worked tirelessly to support the community. She saw firsthand the impact her mother's vision had, from the food pantry that fed hundreds of families to the counseling services that provided comfort and guidance to those in crisis. As the day drew to a close, Anna felt a deep sense of connection to the foundation and its mission. She returned to Ms. Claire's office, her heart filled with a new sense of purpose. "Thank you for showing me around," Anna said. "I feel like I've found a piece of my mother here." Ms. Claire smiled warmly. "Your mother's spirit is very much alive in this place, and now, so is yours. We're thrilled to have you join us, Anna." Over the next few weeks, Anna immersed herself in the work of the foundation. She learned the intricacies of running the various programs, met with community leaders, and started to develop her own initiatives, inspired by her mother's journal and the stories she had heard. One evening, as she sat in her office reviewing plans for a new outreach program, Anna felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She looked at the locket she wore around her neck, the one her mother had left for her, and whispered, "I'm doing it, Mom. I'm continuing your work." The foundation flourished under Anna's leadership. She brought new ideas and energy, expanding the reach of their programs and forming partnerships with other organizations. The community responded with overwhelming support, and soon, Hope Haven became a beacon of hope for even more people in need. Anna's journey had come full circle. What had started as a mysterious note and a series of clues had led her to discover not only her mother's secret life but also her own path. The challenges she faced and the people she met along the way had shaped her into a leader, driven by compassion and a desire to make a difference. One day, as Anna stood before a crowd at the opening of a new community center funded by the foundation, she felt a profound sense of gratitude. She spoke of her mother's legacy, the journey that had brought her here, and the importance of kindness and compassion. "In the end," she said, her voice steady and strong, "it's not about the recognition or the accolades. It's about the lives we touch, the hope we bring, and the love we share. My mother taught me that, and I see it in all of you. Together, we can continue to make this world a better place, one act of kindness at a time." The crowd erupted in applause, and Anna felt tears of joy and fulfillment well up in her eyes. She had found her purpose, her place in the world, and she knew her mother was watching over her, proud of the woman she had become. As the sun set, casting a golden glow over the new community center, Anna stood with her friends and colleagues, feeling a sense of peace and accomplishment. The journey had been long and challenging, but it had led her to a place of love and hope. She knew that, with the legacy of her mother guiding her, there were no limits to what she could achieve.